I'm Shashwata and this is Rohit.
I'm Rohit.
Yeah, and today we are going to bring a very fascinating news. United States has chosen George Clooney as its social ambassador to China. Many people were wondering that why exactly choose George Clooney. I mean, he's a Hollywood A-lister star.
He's not even a diplomat.
He has multi-million-dollar homes. He doesn't marry girls. He dates. That's George Clooney's circumvented. What does this have to do with social relations and all, etc.?
It's very tricky. It's very tricky, and I think what it really means is that America doesn't want, the quintessential suited bureaucrat anymore. It wants something more dynamic in its foreign policy. Somebody who people actually love. And statistic. George Clooney is actually one of the most popular household names in China. There's a bigger fan following of George Clooney than many of the US brands. So it actually seems like a diplomatic coup if George Clooney becomes the diplomatic face of US for China. And this sort of
seems more like a diplomatic, seems more like a marketing ploy to me.
Exactly. I think that's very interesting, because when we bring in marketing, we also have to explore the angle of what George Clooney stands for. David Ogilvy came up with the whole concept of branding. And branding is essentially building a super image of something that is probably as common as anything else, but you target a particular segment of people who connect with it and build those particular qualities of a particular brand that make it better and make it sort of what people want.
It actually makes sense, because US diplomats are not exactly welcome in China, but George Clooney is.
Exactly.
So let's connect George Clooney with US.
Yeah, but I wonder, is it just George Clooney? Is there something more? Probably it is Hollywood. It is Hollywood whose glamour exceeds everything. It is Hollywood that is the key factor that is connecting US soft power to everything outside.
Exactly. I mean, Hollywood actually represents the American dream. Everybody wants to become the next Mark Wahlberg. Everybody wants to see the next Michael Bay action movie, even though they're mindless flicks. But we are all addicted to it. This mad consumerism which US is generating so successfully year after year after year. I mean, summer doesn't come, but the trailer of summer movies come before them. It's like an indication of summer is coming.
That's amazing, and we have to understand, what is this American dream that we talk about? What is it that quantifies actually, what does it make it truly American? Is it a lot of social values? I don't think so.
No, I think American dream is, it gave us the picture post-World War II during the baby boom generation, when America really wanted to reconfigure its image around the world. So what did they do? They painted us a beautiful picture like this, the quintessential American dream. You have the hard-earning dad, you have the mom, you have the two children, and you have each and everything under the sun available to them. They even have a speedboat. What else are they doing with it? Okay, they have the lawnmower, they have the, and look at the branding. Their faces are not probably painted, but the brands are clearly visible. That is what the American dream stands for. Branding, selling America to the world. And what do they sell? They sell you phones. They sell you blockbusters. They even have a movie called Captain America. And we are all, people across the world, we are wearing Captain America t-shirts. You have medicine companies. You have things like Levi's. I think every one of us has a pair of Levi's jeans. That's the kind of penetration America has around the world right now. And the sad story is that they don't even make Levi's anymore. It's always made in Sri Lanka, made in China, made in India. But just because an American company, its value pumps up like anything. And what do? This is the American dream. And this is the second part of it. Protector of the American dream around the world, selling weapons. This is something which they do in a cloak and dagger fashion, quote unquote the CIA.
No, I mean, even if we remove the part about the weapons, let us first analyze what American dream stands for in our context, people in the third world living our own lives. How does that American dream affect us? It affects us in the form of products, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
It affects us in the form of standardized products that each of us can buy, affordable products that basically make our lives easier in a way.
Yeah, and this word standard, it actually means consumer equality. each and every person among us, we can have access to these products. This is equality, but rather it's creating inequality.
Yeah, in a way. But if we go back to the point where America first introduced its cars, first started marketing its cars, they sort of did not start off with the male muscular guy who goes into the cars and starts driving. They started off branding their cars as something that the females can drive. This was exceptional because nowhere in the world were females driving cars, at least not so publicly. So what happened there was that America, while it was still selling cars, it also was selling the idea of freedom, the idea of gender equality. So if you think about it, it seems, at least on the surface, that America is doing a fantastic job of selling freedom to everyone. The consumers who buy products, the consumers are people who in a democracy elect their own leaders. But now, because they have so much power and they dictate what sort of products they are going to buy, the success of a product or any other company depends on the consumer itself.
This is something which America developed perfected rather after the Cold War. When they say that you can't fight your enemy on the borderlines, you fight them through economics, you fight them through marketing, you fight them through building bigger MNCs than your competing countries. I mean, take Russia for example. How many MNCs from Russia are we really aware of? But I think each and every kid knows about how many American corporations are there in and around the world.
Exactly, and this serves as an amazing template for a better living across the globe. And I think this is what America wants us to believe, that its American dream stands for.
Yeah. Basically, America is telling us that we want to be developed, be American. Every Indian who earns a good amount of money, if you want to earn a better living, be American. Wear Levi's. Use the things which American family is using. That's how you represent the developed idea to you and the rest of the world.
And yeah, they basically
contrasting images.
Exactly.
War, peace.
Exactly. This is what we always see. America fighting battles for everybody else. America
freedom around the globe.
Exactly.
But not only reality. They have video games called Call of Duty in which you play this US American sergeant actually fighting wars in the Middle East. And people are mad about such games. That's the kind of idea America is generating. That's the kind of seed they're planting.
And look at this. They are going out helping people, doing a lot of charity work. They are basically trying to feed people, especially malnutrition people in African countries. These are children who basically do not get food. They are getting charity work.
Interesting fact, after the invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq, guess who got the most of the rebuilding contracts? All American companies. I mean, that's just a fantastic plan. I go into someone's house, I wreck it, then I don't even apologize for it, and then I bring in my own construction company and say, hey, you pay for it, and I'm going to help you rebuild your house. That's fantastic.
I think you have a point there. Maybe all this while that we are dreaming of the American dream, it's actually nothing. There's something behind it. And every time we talk about a consumer culture, I think it's a two-way street, right?
Yeah.
So,
relationship basically means a two-way street, right? You give something to the person gives you something back.
So what is America taking back?
I think it's taking back each and everything that we can call our own and giving us false identities. I mean, just think about the mad rush you get in front of an iPhone store when a new product is launching. I mean, people compete that I'm going to get the first iPhone, There's this class division among people that iPhone holders, non-iPhone holders. Levi's jeans wearing people, non-Levi's wearing jeans people. And that's the kind of thing America is doing to the world. It's basically dividing it and then reaping the benefits from it. Let me show a clip. It's going to be very interesting.
All right, with Occupy Wall Street all over the nation, we had speakers and how you see
The global Occupy movement, which is really the most important attribute. This isn't just about Wall Street. This isn't just about the United States. It is really about whether or not some percent comes always in favor of brass tacks and makes the other one obsolete.
pollution is off. First, I'm going to play it. What's going on? First, I'm going to play a tiny montage for our
This is a clip from supposedly riot kind of situation because they started selling $2 waffle maker.
audience. I'm sure you can imagine from the noises what's going on in them.
Wow. I mean, isn't the American dream supposed to be about peace and serenity, and now we have this bad consumerism over $2 waffle maker? $2 waffle maker. The people are writing over it.
Yes, yes, yes. And let's examine the American system. Let's examine the entire world as an economic system. Let's for a moment think about it. Who owns the maximum capital in this entire world? I guess, I bet, it has to be a majority of the Americans who had a head start in accumulating capital over all the third world countries. And what do? They sell us a dream, they inculcate the consumerist culture, and at the end of the day, they sell the products to us, even while they get the products manufactured in third world countries. Isn't this a plan of genius? This is amazing.
I mean, if you tell it to a person, just like that, you say, something like this will not happen. It's just so stupid that it's not going to work. But it's actually working in front of our eyes in broad daylight, for God's sake.
Exactly. Let's take a very fresh example which everybody is familiar with. Let's take Apple and Foxconn. Foxconn is a manufacturing company that is based out of third world countries, or at least developing countries like China and Brazil. Foxconn is notorious because of its poor labor relations. There are people who stand and work on assembly lines, which by the way was started by Ford. Assembly lines, and they work for around 16 hours, 20 hours a day without sleeping. The laborers are given special medicine so that they do not fall asleep on the assembly line. And any form of defect, if it exceeds the minimum defect targets, the laborers are removed from their jobs. And these laborers sometimes include children. So what is the point of going and showing charity at a different place, in a place like Africa, when we are actually encouraging child labor in a way?
And take Walmart, for example. You know, Walmart is famous all over the world for its cheap clothing, cheap standardized clothing. But how do they really cut costs? Third world countries again. That's the problem to all their marketing genius and operation solutions. You buy cheap raw material, you buy cheap labor, you keep them in horrendous conditions, but then you get the perfect byproduct of them, and then you ship it to America, put a label of Walmart on it, and then you sell it in tremendous margins. That's how they earn profit.
Exactly. And is this all? If we move forward, it's also the part of consumerism, the mad consumerism that we're talking about. Look at this guy. He's just got an iPhone, probably manufactured.
And he's telling the whole world that, hey, are you guys jealous? I'm better than you because I bought the iPhone first than you.
And look at these people. They're out in the cold waiting to get hands on that iPhone. Isn't this totally crazy?
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's a really unbelievable.
So what exactly is America doing? It is promoting consumerism on one hand. But on the other hand, if you look at it, the American foreign policy that we started off with, America has actually ensured that everything it does, it goes out to serve its own interest. What does American foreign policy consist of? It consists of creating a network of friends and supporters which are called allies. And by the way, allies is a very fungible term. If you remember, the Egyptian dictator was an ally of America. Now he's dead or in prison. The second thing that they cultivate is ideological friction with other ideologies that is prevalent in the world. They are the flag bearers of the Western consumerist attitude, whereas anything else that stands in the way gets demolished.
It's always the us versus them game from them. You're either with us or you're against us. I mean, that's just dictatorship, right?
Exactly. Whether it's communism, whether it's Orientalism, everything is secondary to American consumerist attitude.
Exactly. And I mean, if you divide the world, you you have the Middle East, from which America will do anything to get the last of oil out of them. And the rest of the world, they're going to sell their products.
And how does it work in America? Why do we always feel that America has masterfully executed this plan? I think there are three wings that went into creating this great plan. One is the Wall Street, where basically all the accumulation of capital happens. Secondly, the Capitol Hill, where all the legislation happens. And finally, the president, the great president of the United States of America, he's also one of the flag bearers of American foreign policy interests.
I mean, there you have it. You have the policy, you have the money, and you have the administration. What else do you need? Really, what else does anyone need?
Exactly. And if you go forward, and if you look at the foreign policy, why do you think America has invaded a lot of Middle Eastern countries? It's as simple as that. Oil. What is oil? Oil is energy. Oil is the only prevalent, most commonly available energy form today. And the whole American foreign policy towards the Middle East has always been, since the 1950s, has always been towards oil. Secondly, why has America constantly tried to support Israel, where although America historically had no sort of relations with the Jewish population? Probably it's because of the grand access that we basically showed you. The grand access between Wall Street, where by the way a lot of people from Israel, Jews, have a great domination. They have a lot of business families in America, and they have a great lobbying arm which has constantly tried to motivate the legislators on the Capitol Hill and the presidents right from the Kennedy era. And they have constantly tried to create the Judeo-Christian nexus of capitalists, which basically is the owner of all capital in the United States. And finally, they have the great game of American soft power. Whenever they can't go in and invade a country, what they do is they use George Clooney.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you can't fly aeroplanes or tanks in the country, you got a television set, you got the internet. Bomb them with advertisements, bomb them with the American dream. I mean, that's all it takes. Plant that idea in their head that development, security is equal to America, quality is equal to American product, prosperity is equal to America. But at what cost? We've all seen that video.
Exactly, we should remember that next time we go into buying something American.
Yeah. And the thing is that even after doing all these things, we are still going to buy American.
I'm still wearing a gap. Thank you.
That's the kind of benefit. Thank you.